All right, I want to call this meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. I want to ask Magistrate Nathaniel Downey if he'll lead us in a word of prayer, and we'll follow up with the pledge to the flag.
As you bow your heads, Heavenly Father, first we'd like to just thank you for this day. Thank you for us being able to lay down last night and be able to wake this morning to see another day in which we've never seen before. Lord, please continue to bless the fiscal court members, allowing us to be able to make the rightful decision for the information that we have before us, Lord. And continue to bless the first responders, the medical crew, all these county employees, Lord, across the board. Continue to bless them in the rightful manner, Lord, and for them to be able to continue to do what they got to do. And bless the government, Lord, from the national level to the state level to the local levels. Continue to give them the knowledge and the ability to be able to make the rightful decision for the community, for our people, Lord. And Lord, continue to bless the ones that's sick with the COVID-19 and all the other sickness that there is out there, Lord. Continue to bless the families of these people. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One thing I'm going to ask, if y'all can, try to move microphones up closer to you. And for the ones that will come up to speak, try to get into the microphone. Evidently, some of the people are saying they're having issues hearing us. So try to get your microphones closer and speak up some so hopefully they can hear us better. So today we have with us the county clerk and the sheriff. Obviously, they both do an annual budget. We talked with the sheriff at our last meeting, and he made a couple of changes to his that he'll present in a moment. But first up, we have the county clerk to present their 2021 budget, their calendar year budget. So hopefully you guys had it on the portal, plus we just got a copy dropped here.
Hopefully you all had enough time to look over it, and we tried to be conservative but yet optimistic in this next year, because we don't really have any idea how it's going to go. We were actually, with the pandemic and COVID within the office, I'm proud of the way our budget ended up. Hopefully you are too. So if you got any questions, well, we're ready for you.
I don't really have a question. I guess have a comment, but I think that I'm right. This is, I think, the second year in a row that you brought over a zeroed out balanced budget, that you're covering expenses out of the fees from the clerk's office.
The only question, I told you back up, the new line on there, the lien release fees, what is?
It's been there. It's if you pay when you get your card, and if it says it's delinquent, there's a $2 lien fee.
Okay.
It's that $2 penalty fee.
Oh, okay.
It's not usually been broken out before, but this software breaks it out.
Oh, okay. Well, I just, there was a couple of little things like that caught my eye, and I didn't know, I can't remember what any of the rest of them.
I think you all probably noticed that the software, that went up quite a bit. I thought that might be a question that you would have. And the reason for that is, and again, during this pandemic, who would have ever thought that the deeds and mortgages would have come through like they have? And I'm sure with the low interest rate, that had a lot to do with it. So we upgraded the software just to meet the demands of the public. And of course, that came at a higher cost.
Good job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We need a motion to accept it.
I think we just need a motion to accept the presentation of it, but then we will need a motion to establish the maximum pay. And I guess we need to do those in separate motions. So
And I would like to address too on the salaries of the deputies. And I think if you all remember, I had put an increase in there last year because I did have intentions of hiring someone. So again, with the pandemic, and us going to A group and B group for a while. I did not see any need in doing so. I do plan on doing that this next year. So that is already in there. It was in there last year. We didn't use it.
You got that included in this?
Yes,
And if
yes.
y'all recall, it was in last year's budget. She just never filled that position.
Yeah,
It was
it just wasn't the need for it during this time, and so I never filled it.
So first, we need a motion to accept the presentation of the county clerk's calendar year budget.
Motion made.
Motion by Nate, second by Scott. Any question or discussion? If not, all in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, that motion carries. Next would be to an annual order setting the maximum amount for deputies and assistants. And it says pursuant to KRS 64.530, paragraph 3, the fiscal court shall fix annually the maximum amount, including fringe benefits, which the officers may expend for deputies and assistants. The fiscal court of Simpson County, in compliance with the state law, hereby sets the maximum amount which the county clerk of Simpson County may expend from fees during calendar year 2021 at $431,836.79 for deputies, assistants, and other employees. Now, bear in mind again, that's salary and fringe benefits such as retirement insurance and so forth.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Myron, second by Nate. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Well done, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate
Do
it.
do you need this hard copy back? Okay.
Next up, gentlemen, we have the sheriff to make his 2021 budget presentation. I think we pretty well established it in our last meeting with the exception of fuel and a vehicle, I think was it?
Vehicles the same.
Few documents this morning, but yes, my budget remained the same with the exception of two things that you gentlemen had asked me about and we had already talked about. The budget was raised $5,000. It was, I think, $3,000 more in the ammo or gun range category and $2,000 for gas. I might have those numbers reversed. It was one way or another.
I think it was 3 on the fuel and 2.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
everything else was the same. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. I know about it. I just can't look at the exact figures right now.
But the vehicle stayed the same.
Vehicle stay,
the same.
I didn't change anything other than
It
adding
was ammo and fuel.
ammo and fuel, and it was a total of $5,000 between the two categories. Obviously, and Marty made a good point in it, we're looking at fuel will probably go up over the next 6 months at some point in time, which would be, none of us want fuel to go up, but it probably is a sign that the economy would be coming back. We've got a couple of deputies that will be getting out of the academy, so we will have more bodies work in the county, so that will add fuel to us. And as we discussed, ammo, it's doubled in price. You're lucky to even be able to find ammo right now, so that additional revenue will help us at the gun range just to get the mandatory training we had. Any questions?
Move to approve.
Got a motion that we accept the sheriff's budget as presented. Do you second, Myron? Had a motion by Marty, a second by Myron. If no other question or discussion, all in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Did we, Pam, set the maximum salary at our last meeting so we need to do that, but you're gonna have to give me a minute to punch all this in. If it's salary and fringe, I don't know what that total number is. We're looking at it here. Deputies' gross salaries, $933,944, court security, $137,628.
I sent a sheet in the Pam, she might have it back when I originally sent it in. You have that, Pam? Nicole had asked for it one time. Because that 5,000 we increased it, didn't have anything to do with the salary, so it was still incorrect.
Is that the 1,632,000?
I would say, because just roughly looking at it here, it's about 1.5, 1.6 million. So that number is how much?
$1,634,023.
And that is salaries, retirement, health insurance, all benefits.
Overtime wages, part-time salary, wages, health insurance, including national security, retirement, employer share, hazard student.
That's everything excluding me, and Nicole directed me as a.
Right, right, that's right.
1,000,006 what?
634,023.
All right.
So we will need a motion in a second to set that, maximum salary for the sheriff's office for calendar year 2021.
Motion made.
Motion by Nate. Second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review our minutes from our December 15th regular fiscal court meeting, we just need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Myron, second by Marty. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a couple of ordinances that we have second reading on. First is second reading and on fiscal year 2021 budget amendment number 6. It's ordinance number 220.222. This is amending in the the last CARES Act amount at 214 and change, and the HIDA grant money.
Second.
Motion by Scott, second by Nate. Any question or discussion? Pam, we'll do a roll call on the ordinance.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Ron Thurman,
Yes.
Jason Barnes,
Yes. All right, next, gentlemen, is a second reading of a zone change ordinance number 920.116. And this is changing a tract of land, I think 2.56 acres, something like that, from light industrial back to ag. We had first reading at our last meeting. We just need a motion and a second to have second reading and passage.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Marty, second by Nate. Any question or discussion on this ordinance? All right, Pam, we'll take a roll call on that ordinance.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Ron Thurman,
Yes.
Jason Barnes,
Yes. All right, next, gentlemen, if y'all remember, one of the things that was noted in our audit, well, I guess this year too, but last year especially, was that for some time we'd not bid the jail food service. So we put out the bid for a 4-year contract. We sent proposals to 4 different food vendors, but we only received the bid back from Kelwell. They were the only bidder. Don't ask me why the others didn't bid. I can't answer that, but they didn't. So you got, and I'm sorry, and I'm Nicole may wring my neck later because I'm gonna put her on the spot. We got this proposal. We got 2 different proposals from Kelwell. One to do 3 hot meals a day, one to do 2 hot meals and 1 cold meal, and it's broken down into employee ranges from starting in groups of 10 from 180 to 189. It goes in groups of 10 down to 300 or more of what it would cost, depending on how many they're serving. But I apologize, I didn't look to see really how this compared with our current. But
One question I got, it says that in that paragraph, a couple of times it mentions working with the sheriff. Should that not say the jailer?
I think they mean jailer. Kentucky is one of, I'm not sure how many counties, the majority of counties, I think the jail is actually operated by the sheriff.
Commonwealth does not.
Right.
That's common, you hear sheriff and talk about the jail.
When I seen that, I thought, why are they working with the sheriff if it's at the jail? If it's at the jail.
But if my memory serves me, I really don't think there's an increase in cost here, but I'm having to do that from memory.
Jerry, can you tell me what it is?
On the 3 hot meals, if we have 180 inmates, $1.41 per meal.
What's your next one?
If you're at 200 to 209, it's at 134 a meal on a hot meal. On 200 to 209 on a cold meal, you're at 121.
What's your breathing?
300 mark, we're at 113 on 3 hot meals.
It's in scale. I was waiting for that, and I know it's in scale. Yeah.
I'm understanding the ambulance now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any change in it. The only change would be if you took 2 hot meals and 1 cold meal, you'd save 9 cents a meal.
Yeah.
Is this popular? I mean, I haven't, since I've been on COVID, I haven't seen it presented,
I've never seen this.
so.
Oh, I don't know that the fiscal court's ever bid this.
Right.
You haven't, because, and I tried to explain to you, when we got audited, was it last year?
From the
And-
state.
Yes, from the state. The last time we got audited from the state. Martha said.
Hey, Eric, come up to the mic so everybody can hear the discussion.
Yes, sir. The last time that we were audited by the state, this is, and I was explaining this to you, she told me that we had to bid it. I said, okay, I didn't know that. She said, law just changed. I called some of the other jailers that she got to before, and they bid theirs. I said, okay, so what do I do at this point? I was willing to send it out that week for a bid.
Well, we were already in contract.
Right. I was willing to send it out right then for a bid. She said, no, you don't have to now. She said, the only time that you have to bid it out now is if something changes from this point on. So we really didn't have to do this. I said, but you just wrote me up for it. She said, you know now, but from this point on, you don't have to bid it out unless something changes. And I said, yes, ma'am.
Meaning price.
Yes.
But if
So,
you don't
and
bid it out,
nothing has changed.
If you don't bid it out, though, how do you know there's not a change?
Well, I guess when they write you a bill and say your bill went up, Myron.
Yeah, but at that point, you'd be too late.
What I'm saying is, under my contracted price, if anything had not changed, we didn't have to bid this out. Now, New Year comes and they wanted to say, okay, Eric, we got to go up on our prices, then we have to bid it out. We didn't have to do this, but we did it. I mean,
Well, after being written in the audit, I felt like we should do it.
I know, that's why I try to explain to you. I actually talked to the auditor herself and says, what do we do from the state auditor's office? And she said, you don't have to do anything now. So that's what I was trying to explain. I mean, I'm getting it from the people that call the shots, and I was following what they said.
Yeah, but I guess,
We didn't have any
we don't
change.
know, nobody turned in a bid, but.
Right.
I mean, you could have had somebody cheaper if they had turned in a bid.
Yeah.
We don't know
Possibly.
that unless you bid.
Yes.
And I think.
I'm just saying, we didn't have to do this.
Sam had an emergency, hearing over at the district court this morning. And he said he would be here as soon as he could get here, but it was an emergency hearing that he had to attend. But, and I could be wrong at this, but I think when we were talking, if you guys can help me remember here, remember when we talked about merging the Scott Waste contract? And there was a time frame that the county had the contract and a time frame that the city had the contract, and we combined. And it's something like, there's only like a 6-year period that you can contract for a service without bidding it, even if you keep the same vendor at the same price. Because you can only have a time frame of so long that you hold a service contract without bidding.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we don't need those renewal contracts.
No.
We've discussed that before as well. We do not need those renewals that automatically go into a renewal without you all making that decision at the end of the contract.
Right.
And I think on that, I think the reason that we did that in the first place is because you were with me, I think, when this happened. The previous jailer entered us into a contract that it was a phone company, had entered us into a contract extending his term, and I took it and it wasn't the best deal for the facility, and I wanted to go a different direction, and it about got us in a mess. I think that's why we did that open-end contract at the jail, so if another jailer comes in and says, I don't like this, they got 30 to 60 days to get out of it, to change and run their administration rather than running somebody else's. If that makes sense.
Well, if you look at the difference.
Marty, I haven't even seen this.
Well, at 8.5 cents a day difference on 300,
Mm-hmm.
it's like $26,000 a year difference between, I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's on the scale of what we're in the contract right now.
Right, but if you go from 3 hot meals to 2 hot and 1 cold meal, it saves about $27,000
Not
a year.
counting energy costs. I mean, I don't know what's involved in preparing to live, but you're gonna have gas, electricity.
I don't know what y'all are gonna approve and which way you're gonna do this.
If you want to read that, go ahead.
I haven't seen any of this. I've asked for it, and this right here, we might be able to do that if I can put this right here at the first breakfast.
Well, that would be,
I'm saying I might can do that.
let's see.
The cold meal, according to this contract, the cold meal would be the evening meal. Be a hot breakfast, hot lunch.
I don't want it that way.
Cold
I want
evening.
cold breakfast, and then the hots in the evening. Because you can do cereal or something like that in the mornings, and that's more acceptable than.
Still meet the regs
Yeah.
for dietitian.
Well, we
Yeah,
we
it's almost
have
28,000 a year, Martin.
Huh?
It's about 28,000 a year.
Mhm.
You do 8.5 cents times 3 meals, times 300 inmates, 365 days a year, it's 27,922.50. Of course, we're at the 200 level now, so
220 today.
Well, at 220, the difference is,
you'd be 129 versus 117, see, 12 cents a
12
day.
cents a day, 12 cents per meal,
12 cents per meal on 200, so on that one, you're at
36 cents a day.
12 cents a meal. 3 meals a day is 36 times 220 inmates times 365 days, it's $28,900 a year, even on 200. So I mean, really, whether you're at 200 or whether you're at 300, the one cold meal is gonna save you $28,000 a year.
Do we know whether or not they'd offer a cold breakfast? Is that something we'd have to go back and ask?
Well, I guess we'd have to ask it, but my question would be, if they said absolutely not, is that a deal breaker if you wanted the $28,000 savings?
Well, I look at it this way, you know, we gotta meet the minimum requirements as far as their calorie intake a day. And,
But actually, by law, I can feed them 2,800 or 2,400 calories of Jell-O a day.
really,
Yeah, oh yeah.
then we probably shouldn't have been doing it.
Okay. Did you just say that?
Oh, we meet the calorie intake.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm in favor of going with the lower price.
Yeah, I mean, here's a few things, and of course, we're gonna discuss this a little more. We gotta figure out any way we can to try to save money. Anything that we can do, let me think how I wanna say this and it come out.
Anything we can do without being at the officer's expense.
Without being at the auditor's expense?
Officers.
Yes, I want to do, but here's the part I want to think about how I want to say this just right. We have an obligation to provide services to the taxpayers of Simpson County.
Correct.
This is a service that we're providing to inmates lodged in Simpson County, not to taxpaying citizens. But every dollar that we put there, we're pulling out of money that taxpayers have paid. So if
Okay.
we can save the taxpayer $28,000 feeding inmates, all we're doing is feeding inmates.
I don't have a problem with where you're going with this. If you want to do what Marty said, just say, let's do this, and I'll make it happen.
Well, but here's, I just want to make sure of one thing, and I'm good with questioning the folks at Kelwell about the cold breakfast, but this.
You don't have to, I will.
No,
I'll get-
I will.
I- well, I'm saying I'll get it
will,
done.
Because I have to sign the contract.
That's fine.
I will talk to them. But what I want to know from the fiscal court, the contract clearly says that the cold meal will be the evening meal. Is that a deal breaker if they say, I'm sorry, we can't do a cold breakfast, the breakfast's gonna be hot, lunch will be hot, evening meal will be the cold meal? That's the only way we can do the cold meal.
We're gonna have to save the money, and we're gonna have to see what,
I mean, that could be a sandwich, that could be,
I'm just saying, I can step right out here, make a phone call, and have your answer without you having to do anything. I wasn't trying to overstep your bounds. I can give you an answer.
I mean, my point being, I don't think it matters right now, I don't think it matters. We can check on it.
I think what he's trying to ask is, will fiscal court kick it back and say, well, we're not gonna do it if they're not gonna do breakfast?
Yeah, I mean, whether you step out there now or whether I call them after this meeting and they say, no, we're not doing breakfast cold, and we're gonna come back in here in the fiscal court and say, well, no, then we're not doing it.
Well, here's the thing. If you got one cold meal and two hots, I'm pretty sure I can negotiate and get that cold meal put where I want it for the benefit of the facility.
Well, we'll check on
I
that.
mean, it's gonna be the same price regardless.
We'll check on that and see. I eat a ham sandwich nearly every day of my life. It comes right out of the refrigerator, and I'm glad to have it.
Well, I'm gonna go with option two.
I'm gonna make a motion that we accept option 2.
Okay.
Is that the three and one? I mean, 2 and 1?
Two and one.
yeah, too hot.
How goes down the pipeline?
We'll work that out. We'll figure out what they can do, but so we got a motion on the table that we accept Kelwell's food contract, a 4-year contract on option number 2 with the 2 hot, 1 cold meal and providing 2 staff to help prepare the meal.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think everybody made the motion. I heard Myron,
I'll second it.
Okay, Myron made the motion, Marty seconded it.
But the only other thing I'd like for you to ask Sam, should we change that, take the sheriff
to
out,
jailer.
put jailer in? Because according to this, they'd be working with the sheriff instead of working with the jailer.
Yeah, and I think we can get that language
Right,
changed in there.
I'd
But
like to double check
Sam
on that.
should be here before we get done today, or at least he thought he would be. Jailer, anything else? Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye? Can we add to the motion, authorize the county judge to sign the contract?
Yeah, I can't sign it.
All right, are you good with those changes? All right, so all in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the budget transfers, we just need a motion and a second. I think the building maintenance, that was something that, that's the Justice Center building maintenance with the Goodnight House. That just got added in. I mean, it's on the portal now, but I don't think it originally was. They've run into a sewer issue that we may or may not have to take care of. I guess, yeah, Bill, if you want to explain what's going on, that way, I mean, at least you know what the money's being transferred to cover and handle.
Well, they had a blockage down there at the Goodnight House.
Microphone, please.
And at the time, when we first went down there yesterday morning, we got the plumbing company to come, and he was able to run his jet hose through there, and it seemed to have broken loose. But we're concerned that it may just be a temporary thing. So there's no clean out from the sewer out to the center of the street. It's 158 feet right to the center. So the most line we had yesterday was 150. So we've cleared it, we think, to 150, but we're not for sure if the sewer tap is collapsing or what's going on. So we're gonna watch it. We got that done yesterday, and it seems to be working, but what's gonna happen, we're gonna wait and see if we get a buildup of, stuff backing back up because of the restriction at the tap. We're not for sure. But we're gonna have to put, if we do have any more trouble, we're gonna have to put a clean out there close to the road, which there's not one there now. Because we got plastic line out about 100 feet. And from there, we don't know if it's cast or if it's the tar paper type sewer line that's out there. So we're gonna, if we have any more trouble, that's why I asked Nicole to, because we're gonna get into a little bit more cost if we have to dig up the parking lot, put a clean out tee, and then that way the city can come run their camera, and we got cameras that will go approximately 100 feet. So right now, we don't have any equipment that will go from the Goodnight House out to the street. So we may have to put a clean out tee out there on the edge of the parking lot, probably in the grass, and we got to check that too, if it's a right of way or if we have to get special access and all that. But all that, we're going to cross that bridge if the thing backs up, because it seemed like it did it last year about the same time, and it finally, they couldn't get a snake through there, but it eventually kind of cleared itself up, so nothing else was done. I wasn't aware of that at the time.
Is that at the rear?
Yes.
At the rear?
Yeah. And it goes out there to the street, and they've hooked the new Goodnight line out there. They put in a new water line out there, and all that street's been dug up a lot. And I think I saw at most an
You're
18.
saying we got 100 feet of plastic.
That's what Mr. Goodnight, because he remembered that we got about approximately 100 foot of plastic from the Goodnight. And at the Goodnight House, there is a clean out, but it's right on the ground surface. And it goes from cast out of the building to plastic, and then we think out 100 feet.
So if you had to replace, you'll attach to the plastic and then go
Yes.
towards the street.
And I don't really think it's a line. I had some issues down at the extension office when they hooked up the new farm thing down there, the farmer's market. But we found out then, after they hooked that new line in, it was actually in the tap, because I think that section down there is older, and they had to put a new tap for the farmer's market, and we solved that problem by putting a new tap in down there. So that's why if we have to put a cleanup, it'll be so the city can come in there too and run their camera from our clean out to the tap and see what kind of shape that's in. Because actually down there, we got stormwater on top of sewer. That are separate. In other words, you go down about 12 foot, there's another manhole actually below water, that the sewer is below it, and the groundwater runoff is above the sewer line. So there's bound to be some seepage through. It's not completely sealed compartment, but all that's just the way it is. So we're just going to deal with it a step at a time for right now. So, but anyway, we didn't have any money for that, so.
Yeah, that's what, I just wanted to get an explanation, since this wasn't originally on the budget transfer, so you guys would know what was going on there.
Okay.
At any rate, we would need a motion and a second to authorize these budget transfers.
Motion made.
Motion by Nate,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question or discussion? Not all in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is cash transfer of $90,000 from the general fund to the jail fund. If we make this $90,000 transfer of the $936,642 that we approved to transfer in, we'll have $49,000 of that money remaining.
29,000.
49. 49,304.96. That's after you pull out the small, bond payment.
What you plan on? Come on up.
Because, and so Eric, let me tell you, as you come up, I want to tell you something. I want you to know something. No one is picking on you.
It sure feels like it.
No one is kicking you. But when we walked through the budget, we plugged all these numbers in. And we said clearly right there in that budget that if these Class D numbers are down, all the other revenue has to be down to reflect that. And when you look at what are all of the self-adjusting lines on there, I mean, we're at halfway through the year. Okay? And we've got roughly 36% of the expected revenue from Class D, which not really.
My food's at 35%, my medical's at
Exactly.
45%.
Exactly, that's my point.
My personnel's at 44.5%. My utilities are at 32%, at 50% of the year.
Exactly my point. All of the self-adjusting things are basically at that 30-some%. Utilities, food, linens, inmate hygiene, all of that.
And we lost 100, as Myron calls them, cash-paying customers.
But jail personnel is still at 50%.
Mason, I appreciate you saying you're not picking on me, that's fine. I'm gonna say this one more time. I've got to have X amount of people. Just like I was making transports the other day, and I said something to you about it. I said, I'm even working the floor, running transports myself. Now, we start pulling them on down, and I can't run that jail. I'm gonna look at Mr. Thurman, Mr. Poston, Mr. Nate, Mr. Marty, and yourself. Come help me fill these slots. I can only do what I can do. I understand it's a bad situation. It's a given. I can't help this. I can't do it. I can't help it. But if you want to run the jail, if y'all want to run the jail, come over here and help me. Come help me. Myron came over last week, to ask about our training that you questioned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going,
Because you've asked me
yes,
a number of times, what do I need to do? And I
Right.
have told you.
Okay.
Hold on.
okay.
I've told you a number of times, quit hiring and replacing people. Quit doing trainings that aren't necessary.
If I quit hiring, I'm not going to have anybody on the floor, Mason. If Marty's been with me, I've already done my cuts. Marty's been with me, and he says, I'm taking another job. Okay, guess what, Marty? You're responsible for North Wing. That's your post. So if I take him off the floor, I don't have anybody in that spot. I got to put somebody back in that spot.
From April of 2020 to the beginning of this year, January of 2021.
We're at 34 full-time people.
And we think 9 part-time, but you said maybe 11 part-time. Is there 2 more part-time that we're not aware of yet?
You got to realize something on part-time. If you're a part-timer, you may work. I mean, hey Mason, will you come in? No.
I mean, I get what part-time
That's
is.
That's just somebody standing there waiting to come in if somebody goes out.
But back in April, you were at 37 and 6, okay?
Okay.
In July, you were at 35 and 5, part-time, full-time, part-time. And now in January 1, you're at 34 and 9. So, I mean, I don't see a reduction in numbers. I mean, I see 100 less inmates, 100 to 120 less inmates.
39 full-time minus 34 is 5 full-time employees gone. Not to mention contracted with Moon, Brother Roberts, and Roger. There's 3 more. A part-timer. Mason, I can hire you part-time tomorrow and never work you. So what's hurting it? What's that hurting?
Here's what I'm looking at. In April, your payroll was 61,676, and last week it was 63,842.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
Okay, well, you take a holiday pay out, it's basically the same amount. The only place that.
And again, we're not picking on anybody, we're trying to figure out how do we keep these expenses covered.
$29,000 for the rest of the year is what I'm trying to figure
We're
out.
not, but we knew that when the budget was set.
That's the reason I said we should have had it going to 1.2 on the payroll instead of 1.5.
I didn't disagree with you.
But if you
They
had
wanted
1.2
to-
on your payroll, then you would be at
the court wanted-
70% of it.
The court
Yeah.
wanted to budget 266 state inmates, is that correct? You know what
Well,
we're
actually
talking?
budgeted 260.
But at the
Wait a
same
minute.
time, Jailer, in all fairness, we were counting on you to help curb the expenses if those numbers weren't there.
I've done all I can do. Other than take it down to where, here's the deal, guys. Other than take it down to just the county inmates, which is gonna cost you a fortune, because I'm not gonna worry about alternative incarceration, ankle monitors and all that stuff. I'm not gonna do that. We're not gonna have Class D. Let's bring it down to that. It's gonna get a lot more expensive. We've already talked about that.
We have,
You and I have talked about that, but I didn't get any response.
So how many people?
But we've talked about
How
it.
many people do you need to employ to have 30 inmates?
I have to have 2 in the back, which is in, 2, you know that right off the top of your head?
You
I
have to
can-
have a minimum of 21 full-time employees plus supervision.
that's using how much of the jail?
For 30 inmates?
No, I mean,
That's jail
North Wing, so
We could probably do away with Northwood,
you can, okay.
with county inmates only.
Your North Wing holds the bucket.
Mhm. But your county inmates are gonna go from, let's see, right now I got 29 county inmates. You can probably multiply that times 2. I don't know how many I've got out on ankle monitor, but it's about double. So we're saving the county that much money. So you can just take it on up to about 40 to 50 county inmates, plus your deputies, plus me.
So explain to me something.
Sir,
I'm just asking.
that's fine.
If we say, okay, just do county inmates.
Okay.
Why are you saying you'd pull the ankle monitors and pull half of them back into the jail?
Because I'm not gonna have time to fool them and monitor them all the time, because I'm gonna be worrying about the ones that are inside the inmate. I'm not gonna have the manpower to do that.
You got 21 deputies and administration, you won't have the manpower to watch 30 inmates?
You're gonna cut your administration too, Marty. You're not gonna have a Class D coordinator, you're not gonna have a classification officer, you're not gonna have all that stuff, which they manage your state inmates. I promise you, if you will come down there and sit with me for 1 week, you will understand it. I have begged y'all to come sit with me and understand it. There is so many working mechanisms to this jail. I promise you. You'll see.
Eric, I'm gonna tell you just what I'm looking at.
Yes, sir.
As of probably current, I'm gonna round the number off. We're about $450,000 shy of estimated income.
You're right.
And if we keep tracking, you see where we're headed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see
I've told
it.
you many times, I'm looking at numbers. I'm not coming down and tell you how you're going to jail.
No, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. But I don't know how to respond other than me show you. Me show you why we're where we're at. I don't know how else to respond, guys.
How many Adair County people?
I got 5 right now.
Has the Adair County, and you and I have talked about.
Yes, sir.
Has the Adair County inmates, has that caused you to have to hire either another part-time, or is it affecting?
No.
Because if we're not careful, sometimes our employees will override
Yeah.
what we can bring in. to
Right.
house another inmate.
No.
I have just a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when you were running 260, 270 in there,
On the state side.
well, I mean, your
That's
total.
about a 300 quarter. That's about 3 1/4 is what, when you're saying 270, that's about 3
That's
1/4.
what you used to run in there, right?
Yes, sir.
And how many more people did it take to do that than you've got right now? Just 5?
We had, yeah.
No.
There you go, Scott. Come see me and you'll understand. Myron understands. He's been through the facility. It's broke up. You gotta have X amount of deputies for X amount of inmates. I don't know how else to say it other than, Scott, please come see me. Please come walk with me. You're welcome. You don't even have to have an appointment.
So what you've said is that if, let's just say hypothetically, we were housing our county inmates, we would not use the North Wing.
I think is that fair? We could probably get by without using North Wing if we just run the counties?
And we would not use the center.
Right,
Or, well, excuse me, yeah, the North
Right.
Wing Center.
yeah, because you're not gonna have state inmates. You're not gonna have any of the, of course, I know we're in COVID, we're not really doing anything right now. But all the equipment, we need to sell all the equipment, that goes back into the commissary, that don't go into the county. I'm not gonna need the center. There's 70 paying customers right there. There's 70 inmates, state inmates. So I can delete 3 or 4 down there.
Plus the road crew.
Yeah, the road crews, you're not gonna have those. All that stuff goes away. But I mean, we can, there's a lot of elimination, but you're still gonna be upside down, even worse than you are now.
COVID has affected.
Yeah, COVID's affected us.
Not 100%, but it has affected
Yes.
our population.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you something, before COVID, look at my numbers. I make a phone call and say, hey, Jailer Barnes, you got any extras? Yeah, I got 10 over here I need to do something with. You know what? I'm on my way. I got a crew coming to get them. I had that rapport, and I still have the rapport with the jailers. Well, we're not transporting anything. We're not doing it. I brought in 14 or 12 yesterday.
You have how many inmates on ankle monitors?
Mason, I didn't come to,
20-something?
I would say, is there that many?
It varies from time to time.
It does this right here.
Well, explain to me how you monitor them.
Oh, they're all through GPS, and if they get, like, they're all through a GPS. Like, if you're on ankle monitor, I can tell when you go to the bathroom in your house, because I set a perimeter, right? If you get out of that perimeter, it alerts. When it starts alerting, you got to find and track that person and get them back, or find, you may be going to the doctor, but I got to have that documentation or approve it. Sam can explain all that to you.
But if they're going to the doctor, everything is set up ahead of time. You got to mark out their direction of travel. They have to go, come, stay inside that. Drug tests have to be done on those people routinely. There has to be payment made. They have to come to make payments and whatnot for that. So it's an expanded deal to do GPS monitoring. We got people being monitored
In Kansas.
Kansas City.
Yep, sure do. I got an inmate in Kansas City.
I mean, I'm just trying to explain or understand why you would say, if we said, okay, we're just gonna do county, you'd just forego the whole ankle. I mean, I'm trying to understand. how
Because if I'm overlooking,
so much more
if I'm
personnel.
overlooking the jail and I'm on the floor, Mason, I don't know how to, well, if I'm overlooking the jail and overlooking the floor and working on the floor and doing my thing too, I don't have time to go, oh, Mason took off to Nashville. Why is he there? Then I got to track you down, get you back in, reel you back in. And when you got 20 of them doing the same thing, it consumes your time. You wouldn't be building. You'd be like, I can't handle it. I can't build and deal with this right here too. That situation.
I think the one thing Scott's missing, when I said 5 a while ago, when you shook your head, state come in and did a staffing analysis for us, said we should have 55 people who run 30 days. So we can drop down 5. It's a severe crunch when you're already at 1,700.
Yeah, we had that done, was it 2 or 3 years? 2 years ago, we did a staffing analysis. I think you're the one who requested it.
So
You may have requested it, but we did it, and we were way under where we needed to be. I think the number was 54 is what they recommended us having full-time employees in that facility. And we weren't even close. So we were doing the best bang for the buck then. I mean, you weren't involved in this, Mason, and you weren't either.
Explain to me the training hours. We've had this conversation multiple times. My understanding is, hold on.
Yes, sir.
My understanding is that you're only mandated to
I'm
have
gonna give it to you.
24 hours
Yes, sir.
of first aid training.
Yes, sir. Okay.
But on every payroll, there's training hours.
You're exactly right. There's gonna be training hours today. They're training right now. All right. Mason, you can laugh, whatever. I'm saying.
What are they training for?
I'm fixing to tell you. The recommend, or the standards. Standard. It's mental health training, first aid and CPR, AED, that training, and medical awareness training. That's all we're required. This is what that includes. The PREA, which is the Prison Rape Elimination Act, ethical standards, emotional intelligence, report writing, signs and symptoms of mental health illness, acute intoxication and withdrawal, suicide, self-harm prevention, violent behavior, working with transgender offenders, area searches, security skills, search, restraint, and transportation, and self-defense, which is 1 hour.
Well-
That is what is standard. That's what you're wanting my deputies to do. Now, basically, if I train you like that, and I say, Mason, need you to come over here, we got a ride, I need you to go in there. Mason, you're gonna look me straight in the eye, and you're gonna be like, there's 10 of them in there going at it wide open. I don't have anything to defend myself. Well, you just go in there and say, are you mentally ill? Are you gonna say that? While they're swinging at you, while they're throwing things at you. No, I am not gonna put a human being in that environment without being properly trained. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna put, wait a minute, I'm not gonna put another deputy in a van with 10 high-risk inmates on I-65, a tire blowout, or somebody realizes, hey, here they come, let's take the van over and get him out, because that happens too.
Let's take a time out here for a second.
I'm not gonna do it.
Take a time out.
Yes, sir.
Let's say that a riot did break out in the jail.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, I'm directing this question to you. If you get a call, hey, there's a riot in the jail, will we have deputies available?
Available, man. Keep in mind, we're a small sheriff's office. You got 3 or 4 deputies.
I got you.
I'm not being smart. You want, there's a nice answer, yeah, we're there, we're gonna be able to cover it, take care of it. That's just not the truth. There's 3 or 4 deputies in afternoons, early evenings, that can come help.
And the weapons that they can use on the street, you cannot use inside of the jail.
Fact.
Now, Judge, we do have other personnel we can call, alert to come out. That changes the situation. But in any riot situation, you're talking about time. And that's why I want at least 2 deputies on every shift. The old way of calling somebody out because you got an officer getting beat in Milton is they're dead by the time somebody gets there. If there's a riot, I can have people getting on the phone, call the deputies out. They'll respond as quick as they can. But the immediate, we're talking the first 30, 40 minutes, is going to be 3 to 4 people. If it's at nighttime, it may be 2 people. And they're alerting us, and I'm jumping out of bed and everything else, so.
Okay, I mean, I'm asking this question, and I don't, what I'm about to say, you're really not gonna like.
That's
but-
fine.
But I don't mean it the way you're probably gonna take it.
Okay.
I am very concerned about everyone's safety in that jail.
Yes, sir.
But we also have an obligation to figure out how do we make this budget work? And we're, not only are we upside down right now, we're even more upside down halfway through this budget year than what we would be, even if we had, you keep saying, I told you. Even if we had done what you said, we're still upside down in this budget. And we're trying to figure out how to get there.
I'm with you.
And I'm concerned about those people's safety, but I'm also concerned about how are we going to get the money to pay it. Because I want to interject something here that I want you to understand very clearly. The whole CARES Act money has nothing to do with infusing money into the jail or any other department. The sheriff didn't get an infusion of money from that. No other department is getting an infusion of money from that. That money will be used to take care of things that will better prepare us for emergency situations down the road. And the majority of that money will be left in the cash reserve to help us get through another time such as this when the federal government's probably not going to bail us out.
You made that clear to me the last meeting. I'm done with the CARES Act.
So we got to try to figure out where we're at. And yes, I'm concerned about their safety, but we got to try to figure this out. That's why I'm saying there is a point in time. Am I saying you never get to do any of these other trainings? No. What I'm saying is right now, we only need to be concentrating on the mandatory trainings and quit spending payroll money on trainings that are not mandated at this point.
Well, I mean,
But it's obvious you disagree with that.
I do. 110%.
And you're good at spinning that story to the public that now the whole fiscal court hates you and we don't care about the jail.
No, I didn't spend anything. Hold up just a minute. Hold up just a minute.
We do. I didn't say you did. I just said you're good at doing that.
I'm good at doing that.
Training, Mason. Those people have to be certified to use those weapons annually, okay? If their certification runs out, they cannot use that weapon in the jail without risk of liability lawsuit. So, do you want to spend a few dollars in training, or do you want to spend $1 million in a lawsuit? That's your choice. So, if you'll check with KCO,
or we sell the weapons.
Rick Ornstein's going to tell you that training is the best dollars you can spend in a budget.
Or we sell the weapons and we don't have them there to use.
And then everybody has to fight hands on. You want that? Come down there and fight with us one day.
How many fights have y'all had?
I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that because last week, you were there that week. We deployed 3 times, over 3 fights, racial. And I really wish that I had a TV monitor so y'all could see actually what we do. And you're welcome because I saved them for y'all if you want to come look at them, that what we went through last week. I saved those films. And I don't appreciate what you said, but I'm doing the best I can. This ain't a crowd of the public. So be it. Run it. We'll run it together however it needs to be done. We've got problems. I understand that. My hands are tied. Tell me what you want to do, and I'll do it.
I've done told you multiple times.
I want you to stay within budget.
Marty, I want to stay within budget.
If I required you at the beginning of the time of this budget to take your administrator and combine 2 of those jobs into one and cut half your administration out.
I tell you what, I'm going to go back if this is what the court wants to do. We'll go ahead and we'll look at nothing but county, if that's what y'all want to do.
But I still want to know how you're going to make it on the rest of your $29,000.
We're not.
Well, I don't know where you're going to get the money. Are you going to sell vehicles or what are you?
Sell them all. I don't care. Y'all sell the vehicles, sell the equipment. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. I'm in a spot. I knew I was going to be in a spot. You told me out of your own mouth, you said, I will not let y'all fail. We're going to be there. We're not going to let the jail fail because it was in a bad spot. You said that in my office.
Yeah, we're not going to let it fail, but we're looking to you. We're looking to you to help us figure out what you can do.
And I'm trying to do it the safest way possible. We can have disagreements. We're not in disagreement on this. The only one thing that I disagree with is keeping the deputy safe. That's it. That's it.
Who disagrees with one?
I'm talking about their training to where they can keep themselves safe.
What are they training for today?
I think I have that. Hang on a minute. They may, is it the second? It may be the second crew on researching on just their standards today. I think that may be it. I could be wrong on that, but I'll call you. I'll call you and tell you if you want to know.
All right.
Just based on our training right now, we're going to cut $541,000. Now, we're going to be probably $900,000 short on revenue.
833, I think. 833, something like that.
Yeah, but we're also going to miss revenue, the road crew, and things like that we don't have.
But
You cut
I agree with you,
541,000 from where?
Well, you're gonna be down 184,000 in personnel. You're gonna be down 25,000 in consultant contracts. You're down 40,000 in medical contracts, 120,000 in food, 81,000 in utilities, and assorted
you say?
Yeah, but you're gonna be down $1 million in Class D revenue also, that, I mean, and those are self-adjusting numbers you're talking to me about.
How much did you say was gonna be down in employees, in administration? How many, or in payroll? How much did you say you'd be down in payroll?
Total of $184,000.
How are you down $184,000 when this last pay period, you were more than you weren't out?
Marty, if you take the turn of the year, the 13-week.
Hey, he's combining part-time and full-time together.
I'm looking at, it says total gross wages.
Yeah,
And the first one included your pay, the second one don't.
and the straight full-time, we're already at 50% halfway through the year, so it's going to be, I mean, the other half's gonna be the other 50%.
Full-time.
There's no $180,000 savings in
We're at
part-time
full-time at
personnel.
46% and part-time at around 27%.
Add those two lines together, 44.5% based on those two lines, okay? 44.5%, you take that.
I got it, look right here, bro. Those are.
I understand, but you
This is
understand
April.
this
This is December.
and she just told
How are you
you,
having a cut when it's more in December than it was in April?
because you got more,
It's more my dollars, that's what I'm saying.
you got your holiday pay, and then you got more vacation pay in that time, if you break it out, look at
But,
it.
but here, Brent, here's the question though. When we're looking at the appropriation report, jail personnel is at just a tick over 50% halfway through the year. So and hang on, that is, I think, 7 holidays in this first half and 6 holidays in the next half. So we're gonna max out that. So even if the part-time stays at the 29% for the second half, I mean, there's not even $184,000 appropriated for part-time, so I don't see how we're saving $581,000.
Because Mason, when you look at 14 out of 26 payrolls, you're looking more than 50%.
About
You need to be
53
looking at the
about
one the week
53.8
before,
about 53.8.
rather than giving me going 10 minutes before we walk in here and saying, here, this was run this morning, okay? We had this one last week to look at. 50% of the way through the year, 6 months through the year. When you add the payroll of the jail personnel and the part-time personnel together, you come up to 44.5%.
But you can't add them together.
Yes, you can. It's
No,
a
you
total
can't.
amount of money.
No.
Yes.
Each one of those lines are operated independently.
And then you can transfer between line items if needed.
Well,
We
you
do
don't-
that every day in this building.
We have $152,000 budgeted for part-time personnel.
And you spent, as of 13 weeks through the year,
Nearly 30% of it.
nearly 30% of it.
Yeah.
But at 13 weeks through the year, you spent 46.3% on the other, which is 3.7, which if you double
But
that,
even
is
if we transfer
7.4
every
and
nickel left into part-time,
7.4%.
there's not enough money there to cover the full-time.
It's math, Mason.
I know.
Do the math.
Yeah.
You add those two numbers together and multiply it by 44.5% times 2, it's gonna give you 91%. You tell me how much money gonna be left there.
Well, the math is, Brent, is that we're gonna finish it, in our current tracking, we're gonna be $800,000 to $900,000 short.
In
So-
revenue.
In revenue.
Yes, sir.
So we have to go back to taxpayers and figure out how we're gonna pay this.
Okay.
That's the math.
I understand that.
We can talk about these other stuff, but what's significant is that we're right today, where Nicole, help me out, we're $400,000+ under revenue. How much? So unfortunately, we have not had a mechanism built in that we can take care of this issue.
When we did this budget to start with, we sat here and talked. And what was the number, you answered his question, what was the number he said he felt comfortable with?
240,
What was the number I said I felt comfortable with?
I can't remember what yours.
It was less than 240, wasn't it?
But exactly.
But this court decided 266, okay? This court decided.
But you also agreed, I don't necessarily mean you in general, you specifically, but the jail also agreed that it didn't matter what we agreed on because the expenses were based on those numbers, that as that revenue come down, all of those expenses would come down, and they all have except for personnel. And I think to Scott's point, he's trying to figure out how do we have 320 inmates And now we have 220, and we only lost 5 people.
Mason, it takes,
That's the question.
it takes X number of people to run that jail. You already know we were 17 people short. We cut 5. Now,
And
if
you
you
also
go,
understand that that jail was 30 years ago, and not one person sitting at this court approved the bonding to do that jail.
and neither did we.
And as I look at it now, I think it could have been a mistake.
And neither did we. No, it wasn't a mistake. They actually did something good because it would have cost even more to run the jail with just 30 people, as we've given you the numbers for.
We might
I
have,
think it was-
30 years ago, we might
I
have.
think it was
started
Marty
transporting
2 years
our
ago
county
that said we
somewhere
need to
else.
more appropriately budget our revenue. Did you not say that about 2 years ago?
Yeah, I also said that y'all are way high on personnel.
Yep. And the state come back
I
and
said
said,
that
no,
this-
they weren't.
Your personnel budget should have been a 1.2, and then you wouldn't have so many people down there as you got now. And if
Well, I
you,
think we all can agree on one thing, a jail is a jail.
A jail is a
It's
jail.
losing competition.
I don't know whoever decided the jail was a profit center, but they're crazy.
Whoever made that 30-year bond and said, let's get Class D inmates in here, thought they were gonna make money.
yeah,
But, you know, we sit here through a pandemic where the state has cut sending people. They've released people to the streets, which is going to come back, not in this budget, but the next budget is going to come back and bite us because all those people they released are going to come back to jails, county inmates.
But we have to figure out how we're gonna deal with this, like today.
Well-
You know, and that's my only concern, like I told you,
I mean, we've not hired any extra people. We've not done anything. We've let people go.
but did we have, and I'm just asking a question, did we have some part-timers here recently that has went full-time?
To fill places where people left.
That dropped off, that's what you and I were talking about, we had 2 full-timers that dropped off, and 2 part-timers took their spots.
They left. went
So,
places.
so let's go back to Marty's question about admin staff. Honestly, I don't know how many administrative staff you have down there. I think I know the number.
Well, our administrative staff works floor too. I mean, that's the difference in most places. You can be technically admin, but they work the floor, they serve trays, they run medical, I mean, go to the dentist, they do transports. They just have a admin responsibilities, that makes sense.
So how would you define percentage-wise, what percentage of those people's time? Do you have anybody that's just 100% admin?
No, because they all do everything.
You're telling me.
We all do it all.
Okay, so what you're telling me, I'm just trying to understand.
That's fine.
You're telling me that you don't have one person that sits in an office or at a desk that never goes out onto the floor?
I can say no, including myself.
Like last week, Eric's serving trays and I'm doing med pass. I mean, that's.
I said with the psych nurse last week, that was interesting. That was very interesting.
When you start out in the hole on people, you have to take your admin people and plug them into the floor. That's just it.
Well, here's the bad part. As Myron's put it, we're way behind. There's gonna be no catching up. And here's the thing, we won't be able to do this next year.
I didn't hear what Myron said.
People that is in administration.
I understand.
Plus, not counting the jailer, because he's gonna be there anyway, but you've got, 6, I think that's one county.
I think that's right.
And I see up here with Chad, I mean, of course, he's maintenance / administration, the other one's not, it's just said administration, I
Yeah, Chad, you know, like when I had to be out, Chad would fill my spot for making decisions on financing.
why is Chad or why ain't Eric making that decision?
I make the final decision.
But why do you need a maintenance guy to help with the budget?
Because if he understands it better than you do, it helps me understand it just as
Well,
much.
evidently you don't understand it too well, because we're in a heck of a mess right now.
We told you 2 years ago you're gonna be in a heck of a mess. Nobody listened.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, 2 years ago, we didn't know about COVID.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
neither
I
did
mean,
we.
COVID
And when we did our budget, in fairness, our president was telling us COVID was gonna be over by Easter.
Yep.
Okay? And when y'all did y'all's budget, it was 2 months later, okay? So, I mean, we did the best we could with the information we had at the time.
Well, but I mean, the bottom line is this, we're in a mess right now, we gotta try to figure it out. I'm asking you for help. You're asking me what to do, and I'm telling you, and you're turning around and telling me I'm not doing it.
No,
That's exactly what you said. I told you what I thought about training, and you said I'm not doing it.
say what you gotta say. Don't interrupt me when I try to
So-
explain it and
so-
agree with you.
So
I was
where
just-
we're at, and the problem is, I can tell you financially, it's just pure financially, we won't be able to do this next year.
I totally agree with you. I understand. I'm sitting here thinking, while the words are being passed or whatever, what I can do. I need to know where y'all want to go with this. With the jail. Do we want to go county? Do we want to continue fooling with the state? I'm even trying to bring stuff in from another state to offset stuff. We've talked about this. I haven't received anything yet. Waiting on the commissioner. Talking about bringing in inmates from St. Louis.
But Eric, that would be a short time fix, so correct, I mean. short time.
No, what we're talking about is 120 inmates. My only problem is,
I think you told me.
here you go. I'm gonna ask you for your advice. All of you. Here's my option. I can bring possibly 120, that was the request, 120 inmates in from St. Louis, Missouri. If I do that, they have to stay on a hard bed, a bunk. They can't be on a stack of bunk like we can do with our state inmates. They have to be on a stack of, or they cannot be on a stack of bunk. All right? Now, for me to fill this place up, I've got 230-ish beds, 31 or 2.
Counting isolation.
Right. If I bring them in and push the state out, because the Missouri inmates pay more. They pay, it's not double, but it's up there close to it, okay? Let's say they build them a facility in 2 years. We've already cut our ties with the state of Kentucky. Do you want to try to fill it up? Because if you want to do that and get quick money, we'll get quick money. It's long term. It's going to cost.
That's what I'm saying, it's a short-term money.
Yeah.
Short-term money.
What we're gonna have to do is look at every option that we have going forward.
I'm trying. I really am. I'm done.
What we propose for them,
We're done talking. But I'm looking. Y'all let me know. Let me know what the best option is. I'm not against it. Don't be kidding, just like I told you on the phone. Let's go start 2021 off with you doing the thing.
I'm not trying to do anything.
I know, but I'm in a mess, I know that. We're in a mess.
Yeah, it's not a good situation.
Maybe, Mason.
But you're point blank telling me you absolutely will not do what I tell you need to do right now.
Okay.
To help us.
I will stop training as soon as I get over there. They're gonna finish out today, but I don't have 2 more trainings in my entire staff from top to bottom is trained for the year. They're certified for the year. I don't have to worry about who's trained and who's not trained. I don't have to worry about if those are the 2 trainings. I don't have to worry about it. Oh, you want a taser on Nate? Well, guess what? You aren't certified to do that. I got you now.
And that's the thing, you make it out to be as though we don't care about the jail deputies or their safety, but we're trying to figure out how do we save money.
I understand that, but from my standpoint.
And if we went back and pulled out every training hour that wasn't mandated, you're talking about thousands of dollars, Eric. Thousands of dollars. Not just a few $100s, but thousands. And that's the thing. You're asking me what to do. I'm not the jailer.
You're telling me what to do. You're the judge.
You're asking me, and I'm telling you what I think you need to do financially, but then you're saying I ain't doing it.
Judge, with
And so my question to you is, what else can you do? And you're saying, nothing, I'm doing all I can. So, where does that put
The
us?
two things that you've asked to do directly affect safety and security. And that is the main charge of this jail, is safety and security. So you've asked to affect the base premise of the jail. And I agree with Eric, you should not do it.
Based on our population we have today.
Based on any population.
Are there is there anybody besides you who drives a jail vehicle home?
You know,
That stops immediately. There's no reason for a deputy judge to drive a vehicle home. I see the point you driving one home, but that's extra fuel and everything that we don't have to do. That's one cut, but I mean, I know you say you can't do it, and I've had some say you can, some say you can't, but there has to be a way to take money out of that commissary to help cover some of these expenses.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we hadn't talked about that.
And I was told.
Commissary.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
I was told at one of the state conferences at a jailers meeting that there are jails that pay fiscal court a per day amount out of commissary to cover medical and food. And it's legal to do it. That is something I'd like for you to check on to see if there's any way at all we could if you could pull $10 a day.
That's fair.
For 5 for medical, 5 for food.
I'll check on it.
I mean, that's one thing that we could look at doing. But
That's where that $86,000 came from the jail to here to cover our contracted people, which I don't have one,
right.
but there's still $86,000 there.
Well, I mean, we've done all we can do. We've tried to help you on this. I mean, like we were talking about the roof. The first number thrown out was $350,000 or whatever, and we got it done for like 80. I mean, we're trying to help do what we can do at the jail, but that's what I'm saying. There has to be a way to pull money out of that commissary to help offset some of this personnel and food, and expenses not just that, but expenses at the jail. And it would be more beneficial there than buying lawnmowers or buying the gators.
Y'all don't have to buy them anyway, because I'm not selling them.
Huh?
You're gonna have to buy them anyway, because I'm gonna have to sell them.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? You're still gonna spend that money, you're gonna spend more. Because you've already got them, and we've had the mowers and stuff on a rotating fleet, where the county has not had to provide that stuff.
Well, the county I don't know why the county still had to provide.
Okay, who's gonna mow this yard out here?
Public Works been mowing it.
Public Works, guess what? We supply them their equipment too. That's the thing, the parks. I mean.
Well, the park's got their own budget for equipment, but what I'm saying is.
And the reason they come to us is because they didn't have enough to handle what they needed out there.
All I'm saying is there's gotta be a way to get more revenue out of that commissary into your budget. It's not for money going in general fund for the court to spend. It's money into your budget, into the jail budget. That's what I'm saying.
And I mean, my point being here, Eric, and I know you think we're just picking, and I'm not. We're trying to figure it out. I'm just saying, if we don't figure something out, there's a real possibility there won't be a jail next year, because there may not be the money to operate it.
I know this to be a fact. We talked about that.
And that has nothing to do with, I don't like the jailer, let's shut the jail down.
No.
It just has to do with money. Where is the money?
I totally get it.
Because
But it's gonna cost us even more if we don't have a jail. That's the crazy thing about it.
Every year we do the numbers to see where is the breaking point where it makes sense.
And I don't believe your numbers. I'll tell you right now. I don't think your $2 million numbers is even close to right.
Marty, you cannot agree with it, but I'm not seeing you produce any numbers. Okay? I don't know why I get stupid when I get to the Simpson County line, but I get paid to go all across the country and do jail budgets and figure these things for people. But apparently when I get to Simpson County, I become insane.
Well, put us together one that shows us what you think it'll cost if we don't.
I've already done it.
I haven't seen it.
Yes, I handed it to you personally. I did.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll look for it.
You specifically asked me to go get it. I put it together and brought it straight back to you, and we sat there and talked about it.
Then it's on my desk somewhere.
So if you were to shut, I'm just asking this, if you were to shut the jail completely down, what do you gotta have? As far as, you gotta have a jailer,
Jailer,
and what?
You gotta have to transport people,
Probably go forward.
probably forward.
And then you're gonna bring in the sheriff because he's responsible for getting them to where they're at to court. So he's gonna factor in on this too.
Then you're gonna have to find somebody that will house people and pay whatever price they,
Right.
whatever price
And
they.
they're probably gonna charge you 30 plus a day.
Yeah.
Well, 30 inmates at $35 a day is $384,000.
But you, like I said, you can almost.
And I don't think there'd be a million, I don't think there'd be 1.6 million of personnel.
You still gonna have to pay for your building $400,000.
Let's
You
go
gotta
to
pay it.
You're almost gonna double.
for another year.
Because you're not gonna have, just say with me, you're not gonna have me or anyone trying to get these people out on alternative incarcerations. They're gonna go to another facility where they don't care if they're in or out. So if Jerry D or the PD takes them to another county, they're not gonna be calling saying, can I get this out? It's gonna be dollar me times. So that's what I'm saying, you figure about times two. So we got 30, you figure at least 60. That's just.
I'm just throwing that number out.
Ask Sam,
I'm with.
but ask Sam that
Yes,
question,
yeah.
I mean, he thinks there would be without staff helping get those people out.
Because we get them out, we try to get them out all the time.
That's a good saying question.
Just to save tax dollars. You're talking about saving them tax dollars, to save those tax dollars so we don't have to pay.
Well, here we are, we're about 2 months away from starting doing budget prep, budget planning for the next fiscal year.
Yes.
Start middle of March to get to work on that. I mean, the point being here today, we're in somewhat of a strait. We gotta try to figure something out.
All right.
And the reality is, if there's no money there, I mean, no money's no money. I mean, you can't do $4.5 million worth of expenses on $2.5 million.
Our future reality, we need to understand that the state is probably never going to ask us that.
Then why not worry about burning ties with the state? Why not go to Missouri right now?
Because
But Missouri will be short-lived.
Is there gonna be
They're
another
only
Adair
looking
County?
for a place to put inmates because they're working on building new facilities to bring them
we
back.
we have no idea what type of things.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Our inner city St. Louis is going to be different.
oh, yeah, I'd say
It's
it
going to be different
would.
group of inmates than what we have here.
Well, Eric, in our conversation,
Yes, sir.
the reason of this is because their jails are not active, correct?
Right.
And
Right.
So this could be just a 2 or 3 year thing until they get things back up.
Myron, 2 or 3 years, gets our building paid and
It does that.
gets that bond out, and then we see where we're at.
But they will not give us a commitment on how long.
But
then the other question is really, what you're just talking about, the inner city inmates that are coming, do we even want those folks in Simpson
I
County?
don't think I'd want in
There's
there.
your question. Thank you, sir. Is the money worth the people coming in?
I don't think so. I mean, we already know even our own state doesn't care about the finances of how we keep jails open. They don't care. They could care less. And Missouri
They don't
definitely.
care about the finances, but they want to put the finger on you and should tell you how to do it. That's the thing.
And I'm afraid of what this next session is going to bring.
Well, I wouldn't look for it to be any better than what we got. Could be worse.
I'm looking for it to be worse.
Home incarceration, it's on the rise.
I'm looking for them to take our own money and things like that.
Yeah, I see that happening too.
Yeah.
That's that extra money that's gone to revamp our
Patrol run.
control
$100,000
room.
in a budget.
Well, gentlemen, we're back to the $90,000 at hand, and the question I have is, I don't know how we get out of, I mean, you've got to pay employees and you've got to pay utility bills.
I agree, but we'll have to come up with, and I don't know what the solution is. I don't. We'll have to come up with something to mitigate this. We cannot. The money's not there. It's just not there.
you're gonna have to find enough out of line items to transfer over into payroll. And whether that means you have to let one or two full-time go or what, but we've gotta be able to finish this year out on that $49,000.
You'll realize that if I do that, it can be the possibility that I make the decision and y'all don't, as far as the state inmates being in there or not.
As long as we can finish this year out on balance, that's all I'm saying.
I see that.
You understand what
I know what you said.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, I know.
But if it comes down to, okay, now I've got X amount of employees, now I'm getting rid of state inmates, that's not your decision, that's mine. And I don't mean this, I don't mean that in a rude way, it's just the safety, the ratio.
To finish that out the way you want to, Marty, you have to cut 16 positions right
No, I think what Marty may be talking about more so is in your utility line, you're at 226.
Okay.
We've expended 73.8, we're at 32%. So if we stay on that track, we may have to transfer some money out of the utility fund to the personnel.
Exactly what I was saying, but I said you may have to let one or two go in order to balance it out.
Should I ask you a question?
Every line
What
item
ratio
is
do y'all
transferred.
use from
Just to set the
inmates
standard.
to personnel? What is the ratio that you
There
use?
really is no inmate to personnel ratio. It has to do with the footprint of the facility and how many people need to be in that particular part of the facility at each time. The recommended amount for us is a minimum of 7 in the facility, 24 hours a day, and we've been trying to do it with 5.
Is the center open now?
Sorry,
Are you
yes.
occupying?
Yes,
Do we
I'm
have to occupy the center?
I just brought in 12 yesterday, and every one of them went to the center. We had 12 beds open in the center, which they were classified to be there. We actually had beds open in there, so that particular inmate, that classification inmate could go down there, so we brought in 12.
So we got three, I view it as 3 segments for that job.
Right.
None of those 3 segments are at capacity. None of them.
The South Wing probably is.
The
It's
south
what,
wing is, which is
40?
the front part.
Does that sound like 40?
Right. But.
But yeah, I see 60 or $70,000 in budget, in just budget transfers or that we could look at.
But COVID.
I mean, that's just off the top of it here, looking at it real quick.
Quarantine.
There's a way to do it, but we need to finish this budget out without doing any more money on that 49,000 we have left.
Are these just, people that have been incarcerated, or is this people coming from, say, Adair County? You
I've
know?
only got 5 from there.
These
Well, honestly, I don't see where Adair County is helping us a bit. I mean,
Nicole, you know right here about what their checks are on.
but you're telling me that Adair County, those 5, or
8 or 9,000.
whatever it is,
$9,000.
it did not constitute another employee.
Yeah. And we're right.
But when we get to that point, then we have to think about it.
Mason, do you need to reiterate the
When you get to the point that
Do
you
you
need.
need to reiterate the vehicles?
It takes.
Yeah.
I
Just-
feel that's off.
We're talking about, but I think Marty's got a good idea. Let's not be driving the vehicles home.
I think I only got one going on, so.
Okay. Well, while ago you said several. So that's,
I wasn't understanding what you were talking about. I've got Troy and 2 captains. I got 2 captains. One of them lives right over here by the Legion, the other one lives outside. So,
Yeah, no, we're not, nobody wants to fight. We just want to try to figure this out.
I just get frustrated just like y'all do. It don't mean any friends. It's just, I get frustrated just like everybody else does.
But we do need to take a look at the budget, and that appropriation sheet's a good place to start. You see 50% through the year where you're at, where are these projections gonna be? Of course, Nicole she may blow a gasket there on us if we start pulling money from the utility line.
Well,
But,
but you can't make budget transfers, I mean, the problem is the cash.
Uh,
Budget transfers aren't gonna make any difference
We're not going to expire the line item
on
on
payroll.
payroll.
I mean,
That's
they're
not the
already
issue.
running.
The issue is money.
yeah.
Correct, that's,
spend less or find a way to get more money.
And unfortunately, printing is illegal, so.
What was that?
But unfortunately, printing is illegal.
Maybe if you get the Dominion vote system, we can find a few extra million dollars.
Yeah, 11,700.
All right,
I don't see a way around, I mean, this payroll,
We gotta pay payroll.
so we would have to have a motion in a second to make the transfer. A motion, a second, a vote.
Eric, you're going to look in to what you can and cannot do as far as commissary money, correct? I think Marty asked.
I pull, money out of commissary, man. Just keep this in mind. You drain the pond, ain't gonna be nothing there.
Do
It's
what?
like 86,000 we pulled in. I didn't feel comfortable with that, but I did because he asked me to. We talked about that, but I did. I know there was rumors last year that I got $1 million in that commissary. Let me tell you, there's $1 million that transferred through it. But there ain't no $1 million in there. There's about 100-ish in there. That
So-
is just like the drug fund.
If I'm,
Let me finish.
Okay.
That's just like the drug fund that the sheriff has. Y'all don't go after his drug fund, but the drug fund's just like it. It can only be used for certain things. Well, I told you, I will look into it. Don't have a problem with that. But I can't just go grab it and spend it. I know what I can spend it for. I'm going to expand my horizon over here for Marty. Just saying it. But I can't just, it's not a slush fund. It's just not. It's helped out with vehicles, it's helped out with offsetting budgetary issues. It's helped a lot of things.
well, let me ask you a question,
Yes, sir.
2 questions. First, you're saying in a year's time, you're saying that $1 million will come through that commissary?
I don't know. I'm just going by the last election when I was getting kicked in the face and everything else. There's $1 million in that commissary. Bond's got $1 million in there.
Makes every bond and everything flows through.
That's your bond. That's transfer, pass-through money. It's not
So
actually there.
how much money would you say is in that commissary account today?
Probably 100,000.
I mean, is that a guess or is that solid knowledge?
I will say that is solid knowledge.
Okay.
Probably 100,000.
But it was 186, you said you took 86 out. Is that right?
Something like that. I think it was actually 160 here when it was in there, when we pulled the $86,000 out, and it's accumulated back. So, but now that is slowed down due to, COVID. Plus, you got, that involves another employee that passes commissary every day. That's how that money comes through.
Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you. Thanks a lot. What else to say?
So, all right, so in order to make the cash transfer, we would have to have a motion, a second, and a vote. And obviously, the downside of it is that the next payroll is the 15th. If Class D money isn't here before the 15th, there won't be enough money to make payroll or pay utilities.
So how do you keep from transferring money? I mean, if you gotta pay it.
That's the question at hand before you guys.
It's hard to make a motion, but the payroll's gotta be paid.
Well, I mean, he's got the money, it's in his budget, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion on
I'll
that.
second.
It is.
But when that 49,000's out, I'm not making any more motions.
That's motion by Marty and second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Reluctantly saying aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, gentlemen, bills and claims. If you had an opportunity to review those, we just need a motion and a second to approve those claims for payment.
So moved.
Motion by Myron,
Second.
second, who was that, you, Nate? Second by Nate. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on into reports, I want to read something. Bobby's a pretty big guy. He may clog my head when we get done. He's a little bigger than I am. People would say, well, you're a big guy too, but Bobby's a little bit bigger. But I got a note yesterday from Denny Griffin, and I just wanted to share this with you guys and to share it with the public because I agree with Denny's assessment here. He sent a note yesterday, he said, Judge, recently Bobby Groves helped us with an issue at the Henderson Industrial Park regarding people using an unauthorized access on our property. Bobby came up with a solution and had the issue resolved in just a few days' time. We have to have one of the best road department managers in Kentucky. We can always count on his help and the county's help when we have an issue. We really appreciate it. Thanks, sincerely, Denny. And I just thought I would share that with you guys and let the public hear that.
Well, I've said more than once, we got one of the best road departments we've had.
Yeah.
You know, and since I've been on fiscal court, they are prompt, they get their work done, and they know how to do it, and they do a good job.
I told Bobby I was going to share it this morning. He said, don't do that. I'm like, well, I mean, I think it's good that the public knows that we are all working together and that they do such a good job. The one thing, we won't meet again until the 19th. Obviously, Monday the 18th is Martin Luther King Day. They're not having their normal Martin Luther King breakfast because of COVID, so all that's going to be virtual, so I'll share as much information as I can when I get it about how it's going to be aired virtually and where you can see all of that. But I'm going to be giving not a speech, just a greetings from the county on behalf of the fiscal court that'll be part of that virtual deal. And so I'm going to change this up. I have a question in my comments, so I'm going to start with Magistrate Downing, because my question in the comments is, I'm really curious because several people have asked me, where are we at in spring sports at the park? Is Parks Board meeting, talking?
No, we haven't met in a while.
And I'll let you go from there into your report if you have any.
No, the board, we haven't met in a while, and right now, we haven't heard anything about what the spring sports is going to be about. You know, now we could have a meeting sometime this month, but usually we find out within a few days. So I should have something to you by our next meeting.
Let me tell you, from my perspective, we're playing high school basketball inside the gym.
Right.
So from my perspective, I would really like to see spring softball, baseball happening at the park.
But I seen that you could only, each player got 4 passes.
To come to the game.
And then they had all these regulations, so I don't know too sure how many people, I mean, if you got a child out there playing, you will, but other than that, as far as the community, you can go watch it, I don't think.
We can't really go. But the big point being, at least the kids are getting to play.
Right.
And that's what I would like to see out of the spring baseball and softball leagues at the park. I hope that you can help influence the Parks Board to let these kids play.
Yeah, which right now, you know, I guess the situation is worse than it was when they made the decision back last year about having like baseball. Now, unless things get a lot better, you know, but even though it's not the park decision, it's like coming from the state. They're the ones that mandate all the parks to shut down everything.
Well, I hope that common sense will prevail there. I think case numbers may be up, but as far as it being worse, I don't think it's worse. This is my personal opinion. I think the way we were told about the COVID back in March and April of last year, we were sort of under the impression that everybody that gets this virus is dying. Now, I'm not denying there have been people that have lost their lives, and that's not that serious. But I think if kids can play basketball inside a gym, they can play baseball on a field.
Absolutely.
Now, back last year.
And I'm for the kids playing basketball in the gym. I'm good
Well,
with
they had a
that.
football season.
Had football season, so I just hopefully we'll be able to have spring sports for the kids.
Hopefully we will. Now, it was a guideline that came out last year that we could have went by. But as all of you all know, the reason why we have kids in sports is to make it fun. That 3-page guideline that we had to go by for the kids and the parents to go by, it wasn't no fun in there nowhere. And then how can you have kids out there when they got to be so far apart, they can't play together, they can't touch, they can't do none of that stuff. They got to sit outside the fence.
As Scott said, football kind of ruled that out. They touching people in the football game.
Yeah, and I guess the thing with football was you got a little bit more protection around you. You got pads on, you got helmet on, and even my team, I had them to wear some gloves on playing out there. So football was a lot better as far as baseball and basketball because you're touching each other that close, without a lot of protection.
Well, if you got a good pitcher, you don't have to touch anybody. He just strikes everybody out, and nobody's ever on base.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but I should know something about a 19th by the time we meet again.
Yeah. Let's hope the kids can play ball. You have any other report?
No more reports.
Marty, you have anything? Oh, yes, you do have something.
On the portal, you'll see that Loving Road, petition.
Yeah.
If you have any friends that live on that road, they're wanting to put a guardrail, Loving Chapel and 100. I've explained to them that's a state right of way, so there's nothing that the county road department can do. You want to say something about it?
I contacted Barry out here at State Farm. He tried to arrange for one of their engineers to meet me, but it just never worked out. But he gave me their standards or their criteria they go by for guardrails. And one of the things, it has to have a 2-to-1 slope or more, and that one has about a 4-to-1. He said if it has even a 3-to-1, they did take into consideration traffic and access, those type of things. I checked with the sheriff's department, and there's been no reports of an accident. There's been a report of an accident at that intersection that was on the Grigger side.
And when you say a 2-to-1 slope, you mean in 2 foot, it has to fall a foot?
Yeah.
And over there, it's only falling a foot in 4.
That's what I checked. He said even if it was 3-to-1, said there's so much they look into, because they actually avoid guardrails. He agreed with me that if the angle of traffic's coming into, he said you're probably far more running a risk of injury from somebody hitting the guardrail. Because it's not only the slope, but they look at what they call the recovery area of how much area is in that, if someone was to go off that bank. He said if there's less than 30 to 40 feet of recovery area, that is another point with guardrail. They certainly have plenty of rooms. He said if somebody from the state came and looked at that, he said he's pretty positive they would not suggest guardrail.
Well, I just explained to them, and like I say, if you all have anybody that lives on that road you're friends with, the state is looking at it, and if the county did put a guardrail up, it would stop at the state right of way, and so that would be way back past the area where they're wanting. So it's, this is not a county public works or fiscal court decision. It's a state decision. And if they say they can't do it, that's one they'll have to petition to or talk to, because it's.
I was gonna say, and on the county right of way, Bobby did put up a couple of reflector posts. If y'all seen them, they're just a couple of posts with the reflectors. So if you're turning at night, you should be able to see those reflectors.
Of course, the guy that raised one brought the soda to our shop, and he drove down Salem Road, and he said, "Good Lord, I don't see how anybody can drive on that road." He said, "That's the most dangerous road in the county." And I was like, There's a lot more dangerous inside on the road, but that's basically all I had. I've talked to, of course, I'm on the ambulance board, Dale. Some days he talks to me and they're having just a flood of people, and some days it's not bad, but I think they've had 2 or 3 of the paramedics that's had to be off for the COVID and all, but I just kind of stay away from, I'm staying away from everywhere like that if possible.
Yeah, when people start talking about having COVID, I stay away.
Yeah.
Scott?
I know the folks know that live out there, but the bridge is done on 621. It was done by the end of December, so they've done a good job on that. Other than that,
I did see somebody commented they need to fix a pothole or a rough place at one end of it. I'd seen somebody comment on Facebook about that.
I went out there 2 or 3 times.
Well, there'll be some that won't be as happy with it no matter what.
Myron, you have anything?
Everything's good in the south.
Sheriff, you have anything?
No report, Judge.
Bill, anything with maintenance? Chief, anything with fire department? Bob, anything with the road department?
Oh, what was the second floor courthouse painting?
About the renovation?
It was on here.
We're gonna put that on hold.
Okay.
Bob, you have some news to share with us?
I'm just gonna give you a quick update.
Is this vaccination report?
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing I get now. When can I get the vaccination?
I don't have an answer yet.
That's what I tell everybody that asks me.
It's in it changes, that process changes like hourly. It's constantly changing what the plan is. When the phases have not changed, this Thursday, we will do the second attempt at the first shot for phase 1A, which is first responders, the nursing homes here in Simpson County taking care of themselves through CVS Pharmacy, I believe it is. So they're taking care of themselves. We're getting ready to move into phase 1B, which will be age 70 and above. I brought it up on because I didn't want to leave something off this.
At one point, Bob, we were only allocated 100 doses in Simpson County. Have we gotten any more available here in Simpson County?
We had 100 doses allocated for phase 1A in the beginning. I don't know if it's actually coming to the county now or if it's going to the district and they're combining that to go to these different things. I don't know if that's
Do you know out of the 100 that were allocated for Simpson County, do you know how many have been administered so far?
Of that amount, when we did the first effort to do the first responders, we only used 35 for first responders out of probably roughly 200 people that was eligible as a first responder. We used 35, and the health department used 5 on their own people. So, because they come in vials of 10, my best effort across the board is that we don't throw away one of those.
Right.
Never throw one away.
So you're saying we used 40 doses?
We use 40 out of 100. So
what's the
I
other?
don't know how many Logan County use. I don't know how many any of the other counties use.
What are we doing with the other 60?
We're in the process. This Thursday, we'll hit the second attempt at the first shot for first responders. And I think the health department, I don't know if they're consolidating all of those are left over to go into phase 1B. I think that's what's happening. But there is another allocation supposed to be coming in this week to start into the age 70 and the school.
So the next round of vaccinations that will be available to us, people age 70 and above, regardless if they're in a long-term care facility, will have the ability. And do we know yet where the vaccination site will be, or where?
That's in the process.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure that out. Some of you probably remember back in the late summer, we did a influenza point of dispensing at the park where we had a drive-through set up. That was a 2 two-phase thing. One was to get as many influenza vaccines out as we could, but the other was to do an exercise and set it up.
Now, when we get these available, of course, when we done the flu thing at the park, it was $30 or $35 or whatever was the cost to it. Will there be a cost to the COVID vaccine?
The only thing that they're charging for is they're trying to get some administrative money from the insurance companies.
So, but the individual will be out, no out-of-pocket expense.
They hand out their
So-
insurance card out, they'll run it through to get the administrative.
So when we finally know the day that 70 plus can go, when we get a place, we'll be able to advertise that, hey, if you're in Simpson County, 70 years or older, no out-of-pocket expense, this is the place you'll need to
What
go.
if they don't have insurance?
The health department's working on a way to cover that.
Okay.
The CDC, the White House, and the State Department for Public Health, everybody's on board to get as many shots in the arms as possible, as fast as we can. So I just want to give you an update that that's where we're at on that.
Okay, good deal.
So we're working on, and the two different, I've had a little bit of conflict in the public's knowledge as far as the two different kinds of vaccine. One for Pfizer, one for Moderna. Both of them come with a booster that has to come later on. Pfizer is 21 days later, Moderna is 28 days later. So in the next week or so, we'll start communicating with the people that have got their first shot, the first responders, to schedule their second.
Because our 100 doses so far have been Moderna.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what we'll continue to get?
Yes. The way that that's worked out is the manufacturer, they produce those at the same time. The manufacturer's hanging on to the second dose, and they're supposed to ship it at the appropriate time, so it'll be here in time to do the second dose.
So as we get dates and sites and all that nailed down, obviously you'll be getting that information to us. At least, if you get it to me, you'll put it on emergency management, social media. I'll put it on social media. I'll shoot all of you guys a text so that y'all know.
I'll be trying to communicate heavily with WFKN to get it on radio.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And the other thing I just want to mention, on Christmas Day, we all know about the bombing in Nashville, and that afternoon, it had a huge impact on 911 service in this whole region. And I just want to give kudos to our dispatch center, Kentucky State Police Post 3 in Bowling Green. They had one telephone line come into their office for about 30 hours, I believe it was. And as far as I know, nobody missed a call. So I just want to give that pat on the back publicly because they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, everything's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Bob. There's no other reports. I just need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Marty, second by Nate. All in favor, aye? Aye. I'm sure there's none opposed.
I'm gonna do that one.
Hey, Myron, hang on.
Myron said, I'm not hanging up.
Well, I was hoping that we would, Federal Communication Commission kind of squelched it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they made a mess